Welcome to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting important events, interesting people, and key issues in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. We've come a long way in fixing our environmental problems, yet industry is still challenged to watch, fix, and improve the processes that may contribute to future pollution or contamination. Here to talk about all of these issues are Kevin Doyle, who's the Environmental Affairs Manager with ArcelorMittal, and Robert Crookston, who is the Senior Vice President for Microbac Laboratories. Welcome to both of you for Lakeshore Focus.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad to have you guys here. You know, this is an issue that's kind of huge for our region about industry and the environment and so forth. And so I know you guys are both heavy into this, and I thought the perspective would be interesting because you're at a major steel company, the big one, ArcelorMittal, and you're in an industry, Rob, that you guys are working with heavy industry and all kinds of businesses to kind of help them with some of their environmental issues, right?
That is absolutely correct.
So tell me kind of what your company does.
Well, Microbac Laboratories is an independent third-party testing laboratory that generates data that is used by industry, municipalities, and even regulators to ensure environmental compliance and to meet environmental regulations.
Okay. And you guys have how many locations throughout the country?
We have 30 locations throughout the country, and we have several of them here in Indiana and one in Maryville.
Okay. Now, you use a lot of vendors to help you, right?
Oh, that's
so
correct.
So what are all these vendors doing for you? What are they doing to help you?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of environmental regulatory issues as a large company that we face. Certainly, there are certain issues that we address that needs certain expertise. And while we have a relatively large environmental staff, we count on some of our partners, if you will, to help us with that expertise. For example, Rob's company does a wastewater sampling for us. Our company does approximately 4,000 samples a year on wastewater analysis, and that's an astronomical amount of testing to be done.
So you guys have a direct relationship here. So he's one of your customers,
This is true.
He's one of your vendors.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. So right now, I mean, does it feel like, you know, everybody talks about regulations, and I kind of start off saying, are we over-regulated? I mean, are we under-regulated? I mean, are we self-regulated? And that's an incredibly complex question.
Well, it is, and I think a lot of it has to do who you actually ask that question to.
All right.
Absolutely, because everybody's going to have a different opinion concerning that. You know, like I stated before, we do face a lot of regulatory issues, but our goal at ArcelorMittal, and I'm sure with everybody along the lakefront, is superior compliance. And in order to do that, you know, we need to adhere to those regulations, and you know, we track those regulations. We're working behind the scenes years in advance to see what's coming on down the pike and how that's going to affect our business and our operations in the future.
Let me ask a really bizarre question. Maybe it's bizarre. If the regulations weren't there, would you still be in business?
We would be. The industries that we work with, it is remarkable their commitment to continual improvement. The environmental compliance is one aspect, but generally environmental compliance leads to more effective and efficient processing. And so yes, Microbac Laboratories would most certainly exist if you were to remove all of those overlying regulations.
That's interesting, because so that means you guys really are concerned about some of these things even without the regulations.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm going to tell you a little something. I grew up in this area, okay? I grew up in Gary. I grew up in the Miller area. I went to Lake Michigan every day as a kid. And I'll tell you what, that's a resource that I loved, and I know many people love to this day. And, you know, one of my goals is to try to, you know, make sure that that resource is available to us and everyone else that wants the opportunity to enjoy that.
You know,
Very important.
I hear that from a lot of environmental people. I got to take a really quick side trip because this is kind of interesting. Everybody who's watching this show can see you guys and see, you look pretty sharp and everything. But I'll have to say, for two environmental guys, you both smell pretty good too. So I'm like, and since we don't get that on TV, I got to say that because I thought, maybe environmental guys would stink.
No, I hope not.
Being in the
Hope
lab all the time. I mean,
No.
Does it smell in the lab?
Not at all.
I mean, seriously, is there a lot of odor in your laboratories, in your testing laboratories?
No, actually, it's very similar to the heavy industries. Laboratories are beholden to OSHA requirements and also EPA requirements. And so we have both physical controls, engineering controls, such as hoods and recirc equipment within the facility to ensure a safe environment, and that one that allows us to produce data and conduct testing in a manner that ensures the quality of what we produce.
So you can ensure the quality of smelling good too.
Absolutely.
So tell me, Rob, a time that, where you guys were doing something, a moment your company or you were just really proud of. We did something that was just, wow, this was a huge impact on something you did.
Well, honestly, there would be a number of those.
But you can pick one.
But the one that I would pick is a major industry was struggling with a new permit, and our organization was tapped to partner, and that's a very key word here. And there's a number of layers to the partnerships that get developed in order for organizations to take steps forward in environmental compliance and also technology advancements. And our organization was selected as a key partner in developing a new treatment facility. Now, who's not at this table are the engineering consultants, and they are very key into the development of and assisting large industry in producing continual improvement and technological impact. And the industry, the consultants, and Microbac, we partnered, and through about a 9 or 10 month process, we were able to assist through bench studies, chemical knowledge and expertise, a new treatment facility and process that allowed this industry to meet and actually exceed permit requirements. And when you're able to accomplish that, to Kevin's point, we know that is a benefit directly to the environment and our natural resources, and that is something that we're very, very proud of.
Now, you can get excited about that because you're an engineer, but you weren't saving children or feeding the starving or anything like that. So it just, to a lot of people, it's like, that doesn't sound very exciting. So where does the excitement come for you in that process?
Well, I guess I would challenge your statement there. While I do get excited about chemistry and technology and the engineering aspect, I do realize, and I can certainly tell you that the members of the staff at Microbac and our company, and certainly Kevin and his teams, we realize that these improvements have long-term benefits within the environment, which is the environment in which we exist and we live. And so I would have to counter that, on the long-term view, we are making improvements toward health and environment.
Okay, so there was a human side to that.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Always.
So do you have a moment where you're like, man, we did something that really saved
I
somebody's
am very,
bacon?
very fortunate person. I have several of those moments. But,
You both do, so.
And I'm thankful for that. And if you would have asked me long ago in my career if I would have been involved in these things, I would have probably had a blank look. I got to work with the Carner Blue Butterfly and develop habitat and donate lands and properties to the National Lakeshore, which is a project I did when I was much younger.
Over in Porter County, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
However, recently, at our steel shop at ArcelorMittal in Indiana Harbor, we've just developed, we have actually zero discharge of processed wastewater coming out of one of our steel shops. Now, I don't know of any other steel company that can say that. To have zero processed water coming out of such a large facility such as that is an incredible task. And I'm very proud of the fact that we've committed to that and we've accomplished that, and we have done very well for ourselves in that.
Is there a lot, there's a lot of criticism, that seems to come about toward industry all the time.
Sure.
You people are still polluting, you're still doing all this stuff, and you people who help them, you're probably trying to cover stuff up and trying to figure out how to keep making a buck. I mean, how does that feel?
I think that's because people don't really understand the systems and what actually goes on behind the scenes. It's very easy to make a comment that, gee, you're polluting or, you're hiding results when you have nothing to back up those statements.
But people still say it, right?
Well, yeah, I guess they do. But, we have to be, we're ethical people, moral people, and, we're proud of what we do. And again, superior compliance, for the facility that I work, and personally I take that as a challenge. So, there's a lot to be proud of, and there's a lot to talk about.
Have you ever run across that, Rob, in your experience? I mean, again, you don't have to tell any specifics, but have you ever seen people trying to cover anything up, or where you kind of got called in to fix something that somebody really screwed up?
Well, Keith, let me put it this way. To make steel, to produce, energy, to refine a product takes, real, chemistry, engineering. Things have to occur so we can drive cars, have the materials that we currently enjoy. And in order to produce those types of items, there has to be a system in place to control and maintain, the process. And part of that is, for example, with Microbac, we are a regulated industry. We have to adhere to very strict accreditation and certification requirements. We are held to a very high standard, which is ISO, an international standard. We are audited on a very regular basis where regulatory authorities will come in and look at the data we produce and literally do what's called traceback audits, and literally lay open every piece of paper that we produce on behalf of our customers. And that's where that third-party independent status comes in, and that's why organizations such as Kevin's call on us and rely on us to produce that type of data.
That's really interesting. I never kind of thought about that. I mean, everybody thinks about you're being regulated, but there's regulation because if you're not validating properly what they're doing or checking things out, then it's kind of in the chain down the way.
That is correct.
You could be part of that. So kind of that answer to the ethics question and even just the high level of what you're performing at is you both are really have to perform at very high standards. But again, I go back to how does it feel when you kind of get that unjustified criticism of your industries?
It's difficult for me, okay? Again, I've lived there my whole life. I understand where we've been and where we're at right now. And being intimately involved in the environmental world as I am right now, I can speak for the changes and the things that have happened within this area, for the better. Does everyone bat 1,000? Absolutely not. But I don't think things are done maliciously by people. I don't think they're done that way by corporations. Everybody tries to have that mindset that they want to do the right thing. And, opinions are different. Everybody has one. And if you have the facts and information there to relay those to individuals, that's what you can do.
Everybody sees the industrial might of this region, of the Chicagoland region, of Northwest Indiana, and everybody can easily see the steel mills and all the steel processing. But we have a really significant environmental testing and compliance and remediation industry here in this region. And I just keep running across companies that are doing that kind of work. I mean, is there a way to measure how big is that industry, or how many companies are around that are like that?
There are many. And, from a testing standpoint, there are, numerous laboratory companies within the region. I'll call it the Chicagoland region. It's a highly capital-intensive business. The equipment that we're using is highly specialized. It's kind of that CSI type of circumstance where you've got your special equipment that can detect certain parameters that are needed for reporting to regulatory agencies. But beyond that, you've got the consultants that really supply a level of knowledge and insight into process control, into a bigger picture on the regulations supporting and assisting industry and laboratories in kind of day-to-day operations. So it's large. The environmental business is significant, whether you speak to the region or the nation.
So really, does it break into two groups, kind of those who kind of test and monitor and work with process, and those who remediate and try to fix something that's broken? Is that a real simplistic way to look at it?
Well, it's simplistic, okay? I'll give you that. You know,
Is that an insult?
No, it is, but there are two different quasi-type businesses. I mean, remediation are things, when I think of remediation, I'm thinking of cleanups, things that may have happened in the past that we're trying to get better and possibly to reuse again. You know, testing, engineering type groups, you know, obviously are here helping companies like ours solve and settle problems, maybe, you know, build facilities or enlarge facilities. So it's a little bit different.
Is there still, I mean, we know there's still cleanup projects in this region that we see. Are most of those kind of like abandoned sites, and I mean, or are we still trying to work through some of these problems?
We are working through those. You can see that by the new list, for example, out of the Superfund sites. You know, there's still additional facilities that are being identified, but you know the numbers are beginning to drop. The remediation may not only be Superfund, but other types of, as Kevin had indicated, a past circumstance that has the opportunity to use new engineering controls to effectively remove, cap, or in other way separate the area from possible contamination. There's a myriad of ways that occurs. And in our organization standpoint, we assist those types of companies as well, as they need to verify how their process is coming along, where the levels of contamination are the greatest so they can focus their efforts. And then also on the other side, as we were talking about earlier, is kind of day-to-day compliance of active facilities.
You know, Rob, you talked about this knowledge base that we've got here. Do you feel like, Kevin, from your experience of working with companies like Rob's and even the people in the industry, are we leaders in the world of knowing what to do and how to fix this stuff and how to watch it?
Well, it depends what we're getting into.
Okay.
I will say this. I think from, the way we characterize things, where we were, where we are, where we expect to be in the future, I think we're very good at that, okay? What's coming down the pike so we can ensure as an industry what we're going to be able to do to comply. How are we going to be sustainable? And they're sustainable, could be taken in a variety of different ways. Sustainable to some people is an environmental issue. Sustainability to other people is an economic issue. Sustainability, in a third way, relates to people.
Well, let me ask you, we're down a couple minutes here, but just, what's kind of up ahead? What's the next frontier for this whole area? What do we got to be worried about kind of into the future a little bit? Or what's we got to be working on next?
Well, there's certainly a number of proposed regulations that are out there. Some have to do with water intake. It relates to cooling waters. We've got a possible change in the Clean Water Act and how it is viewed as opposed to navigable waters.
So water is a big issue.
Water is a big issue. We're going to continue to watch some of the emission regulations that are coming out for the power industry, for example. So there's a number of things that the local industries are certainly preparing themselves for and evaluating the engineering requirements to maintain.
What do you
I
think's
think
up
one of the biggest issues, Rob's referring, to laws and regulations that refer to environmental, particularly environmental type issues. One of the big issues is just the opportunity to obtain water, period. water. And if you don't think there are a lot of people out there that would love to have Lake Michigan water, you know, if you're,
So Star Trek used to say, space is a final frontier, but maybe water is maybe one of our final
well, I mean,
frontiers. or
and
at
that's an
least
issue within this whole state.
It's our impending. We're down about a minute, but just a thought on, real quick on, you live here, why is the environment so important to you?
Well, I live here. I live in this community. My children grew up here. My heart is here.
Okay.
That's the way I feel.
You know,
How about you?
my job takes me all over the country, and I will tell you that here in Northwest Indiana, there is just a wonderful partnership between the environmental views and the industrial views, truly working together to move forward for continuous improvement to ensure that our environment is truly sustainable into the future.
That was an awesome close. Maybe you can take my job, Rob.
I will do everything I can to.
Hey, thanks for both being
Thank
here.
you.
today. Really
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. If you know better, you do better. That was a quote I heard recently from someone as they talked about the environment. She was referring to the historical demise and repair that we have witnessed for the past 50 to 60 years in our region and this nation. For decades, we, meaning a large number of us, did not understand what we were doing to our environment. We dumped waste into the water and upon the land. We pumped contaminants into the sky. We discarded and wasted countless resources. As the impact of our actions unfolded, we realized that we had to change our ways. It was not easy. Sometimes it was a ferocious battle. Today we can say that we now know better and are doing better. Are we all the way there? Probably not. What we have gained in this process is a great knowledge. We have become leaders and experts in environmental care and repair. We have created best practices and innovative ways to remediate. We have even learned to capitalize on our mistakes. While the rest of the developing world is rushing to grow and develop their economies, many are making some of the same mistakes that we made. In 2007, I was in China and was able to visit at least 6 major cities. I was amazed at the growth and shocked at the amount of air pollution. This same outcome of environmental degradation is happening in many other parts of the world. So here is the opportunity. We should be exporting our wisdom and know-how to these countries and industries in order to help them not make the mistakes we made. We have spent a tremendous amount of our financial resources, both private and public, to fix our problems. Let's go visit them or bring them here. We can show and tell and share and help. Some people think that some of these countries have stolen our jobs. Why don't we create new jobs here that focus on helping them prevent costly missteps and repair the damage already done? This could be a great opportunity for our region. If we now know better, let's show others how to do better. We always appreciate when you watch Lakeshore Focus. Tell your friends and neighbors that you caught it at our regular time or watched it from our website. You can also send us your comments and thoughts to focus@lakeshorepublicmedia.org. Both our website and email are listed on your screen. Join us next Friday evening at 7:30 for another Lakeshore Focus. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying make a positive difference in our world today.